thank you so much for joining us today. Many of you are joining from Nigeria, but there are also participants from East Africa, Southern Africa, and I believe even the UK. We're going to introduce, once again, we're going to introduce what we think is the next level to assist in the design and construct and manage phases of architectural and engineering design on the continent. Everybody knows about BIM, but BIM implementation is where we are falling behind. With us today, we have from the Zigurat Institute of Technology, Mr. Rodrigo Ferrero. We also have engineer Bolaji Atuloe from Infraserve Nigeria Limited. And then we have from ACCL Ltd Consultants Limited, architect Yinka Ogundairo and architect Belinda Atillo. We're all going to basically share our experiences of BIM and do some introductions, and I'm going to start. Okay. We're talking about driving BIM implementation in Africa and delivering successful projects. I am engineer Peter Fisher, managing director of CDSS, graduate of University College Cardiff, and a current registered engineer. I worked with N consultants in the early 80s and got my first influence from CAD in '84 on a trip to the US, until I saw a single plane plotter knocking out a floor plan. The fastest drafting I had ever seen was myself doing my own manual drafting on with a T-square drawing boards and either pencil or pen. N Consultants was one of the first entities to have a fully computerized drawing office in Nigeria. We all incorporated CDSS in '89, and we are the first CAD IT specific company in Nigeria. We introduced AutoCAD into Nigeria, first in the oil and gas and then in building industry. Many applications as a result became industry standard from our presence in the market, things like STAAD.Pro, AutoCAD, and we've primarily focused on providing solutions for the engineering drawing office. Being a civil structural engineer myself, so we obviously have the usual, the software training support. We also introduced things like large format scanning, plotting, document management, archiving, and also training and support. The first installations we did were at Chevron. The first engineering drawing office was Netco in Stallion House in '92. And since then we've put similar facilities, provided support and services to the likes of NLNG, Delta Free, Kohasa. Almost everyone who is still in oil and gas probably started with us back in the 80s and 90s. These are some of the applications that are in use, AutoCAD, SACS, etc., that we know of. By the way, I'll share this presentation afterwards for anybody that would like to actually take the time to go through the whole thing. In building industry, we started off with the likes of ATO, Identity Coca Architects, Design Group, CivStruct, M-Plan, Pivots, Dina-Ems, Electrants, Bomeg, Unicorn, everybody, even places like Firo, Lafarge, Dunlop, Nestle, and so on. And again, here are the applications that we've put into the space of the building industry. AAC Collections, which is the latest suite from Autodesk, which includes Revit, Navisworks, Civil 3D, and Plant 3D, and others which are more familiar like STAAD.Pro Advanced, etc. And we also have our solutions for scanning and archiving documents. Large format scanners from A2 to A0, software like RasterCAD and Raster Design for converting AutoCAD drawings, paper drawings into AutoCAD and vector files. Our client list over 30 years comprises some of the names that you see listed here, and there are more that are not here. As I've indicated, we do large format scanners, plotters, document management, training, bureau services, including engineering, drafting, scanning, printing, etc., and also technical and customer support. On our support level, we support within Nigeria to telephone, email, remote, and on-site visits where necessary, depending on where you are in Nigeria. And then also we now because of the COVID situation, a lot of the courses that we do are available both online and where it's possible, we also do in person. Vendor partners include Autodesk, obviously, Bentley Software, people like Asset Guardian, who are an asset management utility. And more recently, we have our interaction with Zigurat Global Institute of Technology, who will do, Rodrigo will be saying something about that afterwards. And the last one in the bottom, I want to mention it because we're going to do a webinar in the next week or so on this. It's a digital measuring system that will capture a room in 20 minutes and produce a 3D model and a 2D AutoCAD vector file as well. We've been at this a long time. We've been an Autodesk partner since 1989. We have had partner awards, our accreditations, Autodesk, Bentley, Context, among others. And in 2015, we got this silver pewter from Autodesk for 25 years as a partner. Over the last 30 years, we have built partnerships with partners in Nigeria and across the African continent, East, West, and Southern Africa, places like Kenya, Zambia, Angola, South Africa, Ghana, and more recently, Ivory Coast. So we have a footprint across the continent as one of the leading lights in the CAD arena. We've always sought to find technologies ahead of the need of the market, and we've strived to introduce those technologies to marketplace when needed, and also provide access to the right sources to acquire the necessary skill sets for designers in the market in Nigeria. Today's presentation is totally in keeping with that, adding BIM implementation to the list. And this explains our interaction with the Zigurat Institute, Global Institute of Technology, and with the support of the likes of ACCL to be with us today, and all of you in the webinar. We once again look forward to lead the continent into the future with BIM implementation. Now, people always, get this idea BIM is Revit. BIM is not Revit. Revit is only a tool. BIM is a collection of procedures and processes that, when integrated to the concept, design, build, and manage stages of projects, will bring your company, and the idea is to bring Africa in line with global trends. Thank you so much for listening to that. I hope, like I said, if you wish to have this from me, no problem, I'll put it in the chat. And I'm now pleased to hand over to Mr. Rodrigo Canataro, the Area Manager, Corporate Services of Zigurat Global Institute of Technology. Please, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of this. So if you have any questions now, please put them in the chat box or hold on till we get to the Q&A. Thanks a lot. Rodrigo.
Great.
I give it to you.
Thank you very much, Peter, for this presentation and for introduction. So if you allow me, I would like to share my screen. So let me go for it. Very good. Let me put in presentation mode. Good. I understand that you can see my screen and you can hear me clearly, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. So
on both counts, yes.
Great. Thank you very much. So welcome to all the audience. It's a pleasure to be in this webinar partnering with CDSS. As Peter mentioned, I am the area manager in the corporate services here at Zigurat. I'm located here in Barcelona. So the agenda for my presentation, I would like to go through these 4 topics. We are going to see some industry insights regarding the present of BIM implementation in Africa. Then a brief presentation about who we are, Zigurat and Global Institute of Technology. Then we are going to see some details about the master in global BIM management. And finally, some areas where we can collaborate with companies, okay? So going to the industry insights, I believe that you are aware about the African BIM report 2020. It was a report that BIM Africa organized last year. And there are some interesting points that I would like to highlight here. No? First of all, the backbone of the ASC industry, as you can see here, and it's small and medium business. No? So if you are part of these companies, you are part of the backbone and the most important part of the industry. Okay. The source of this report, and actually there was like 500 entries, and more than, as you can see, the location, I understand that they come from Nigeria. No, they are from the ASC industry. And something that is interesting about it, about this graphic, is that you can see more of them, more of these professionals, at least they have heard about BIM. No, then we have to understand what BIM is. No, there is different understanding about BIM, what is BIM, as Peter mentioned at the beginning. And another interesting part about this report, we are waiting for the 2021, no? But something that was very interesting about this report last year is that these professionals from the ASC industry, and they see that the main barrier to implement BIM is lack of training. No, so for this reason, I think that we organized this webinar with Peter, and I think that this is a strong first step to start addressing this lack of training. And as you can see here as well, how these professionals describe the organization futures in the use of BIM. No? As you can see here, in the currently use of BIM, there are they use BIM for a minority of projects. Then for all projects, there is just a 16%, and for the majority of projects, 22%. And as the professional, how they look the company in 5 years' time, as you can see here, they expect that 52% they are going to use BIM for all projects. No? So here we are facing a great opportunity, that there are some challenges, but there is a great opportunity for all the professionals working in the ASC industry and who wants to start working with BIM. No? So a brief presentation about who we are. As I mentioned, we are located here in Barcelona. We were founded in 2001. Okay, we have 20 years and working as a polytechnic institute. And along these years, we slowly became global. No? At the beginning, we were founded as an institute to deliver online training to architects and engineers in Spain. Then we expand to the Spanish market, opening to the Latin America in 2009. Then we open to the Portuguese market, no, Brazil and Portugal in 2015. And in 2016, with the programs in English, we became global. Nowadays, we have alumni from over 90 countries. Something interesting about our 20 years of history is that nowadays, regarding the COVID situation, all the educational environment is moving towards the online environment. No? But this is not our case. We have been working for 20 years in this online training, so our training delivery is excellent for all the professionals that is working in the construction sector. And another thing that is very particular about our history is that our core training is dedicated and aims to bring innovation to the ASC industry. Okay. As you can see here, and we are global, and this is reflected in our alumni, in our faculty board, and in all the associations and partnerships that we have. We have different kind of partnerships around the world. And as you can see here, we are partnering with the CDSS, with Mr. Peter in Nigeria. And something that regarding our mission, no, at Zigurat, and we look into the future. The outlook of a technology-dominated future inspires us to accelerate the potential of professionals and organizations in order to catalyze the transformation and help them lead in an increasingly demanding market. Actually, this triangle wants to represent our methodology because we believe that our methodology is the best way, the best online training that you can find. It's a methodology that combines the learning by doing, that is the way how the professionals really learn. Then we challenge these professionals to work with real projects because the best way for these professionals to learn the skills that the market demand is to challenge them with job-related experience. And in our online training, we propose a collaborative way of doing things. That is how being professional have to work nowadays, no? So we propose this methodology so you can experience the real workflows in a real project using BIM. Then we use our online campus. We always use Canvas. That is one of the best platforms for online training. It's the same platform that Canvas uses, that Harvard uses for distance learning. Our faculty board, they are leaders on the industry. Okay, this master is not for research, it's totally linked with the skills that the market demands. And regarding this collaborative way of working, you are going to experience a multicultural and a global networking in the master program, okay? So regarding the Master in Global BIM Management, as you can see here, the Master in Global BIM Management presents a genuine experience and helps the students to gain a global vision. The program encourages collaborative work with counterparts in different geographical areas. Each project group of 5 to 6 will work collaboratively through a BIM server and a project management platform, enriching this way the general experience and encouraging professional development within an increasingly competitive global market. Our master program have 1 year of duration, and the methodology is online synchronous with live virtual classes. It means online synchronous that you have to keep track of all the development of the master. You are going to have a lot of flexibility, okay? We request you to expend more or less between 10 to 12 hours in a week. And during the week, in this master program, you are going to have between 2 or 3 live virtual sessions with the leaders, so you can interact with them, okay? And there is a dual degree, one from the University of Barcelona, that is one of the best here in Spain, and another degree from Zigurat, okay? Regarding the benefits of the master program, the first benefit and the most important is for you to become a BIM manager specialized in open BIM and interoperability. This point is very important because when you are talking about open BIM, we are talking about the maturity level 3 of BIM, okay? That is how you can use BIM in a fully integrated and collaborative way of doing things, okay? And this thing regarding interoperability is that we train our BIM managers in different softwares so they can interoperate among the softwares, okay? Then you are going to learn about the software and the most appropriate methodologies for each phase of the life cycle. We propose in the master program that you can go through the entire life cycle of a project, okay? Starting design, construction, and operation and maintenance, applying lean methodology, agile methodology, and other different methodologies. Then you will be able to dedicate yourself to the study specialization that best suits your profile. It's a master program oriented for the architects, engineers, and facility professionals. Okay, you can choose your discipline, so you can specialize in your own discipline. Then in the collaborative way of working, you are going to assume the role of different stakeholders working as a team. So you will be able to interact with the product owner, scrum master, BIM manager, BIM coordinator, or the architecture, structural, and map modeler. And then the fifth benefit is for you to experience workflows during the master final thesis through real gamified cases. Okay, includes personalized mentoring. This is regarding the methodology. We are going to give you a space where you can try, fail, and learn. This is how we are going to learning by doing, and mentoring by our faculty board, that they are and the best. And finally, to take advantage of the benefits of memberships and certifications, you are going to get a dual degree, one from Zigurat and another one from the University of Barcelona, and get certifications from Autodesk, Bentley, and another kind of memberships. Okay, this is the overall view of the content. As you can see here, the master is divided in 5 blocks, and then you have the final master thesis. The first block, you will see the theory and how to work with BIM management. It's a very practical master, okay, but at the beginning there is some theory, because it's important for you first to know the theory and then go to the action. So once you know this theory, you are going to start working on your final master thesis. As you can see here, you will be developed progressively throughout the program. So one of the faculty board will be the owner, and they're going to start to challenge the group. So at the beginning, you will working in the 3D dimension, the BIM for design. Here you will be able to choose between Autodesk Revit and Graphisoft Archicad. Then on the next block, you will see how apply BIM for construction, the dimension 4D and 5D. You are going to work with Synchro and with Presto. We are going to challenge you regarding this interoperability, so you can gain these skills. And finally, in the block 4, you will see how to apply BIM in the operation and maintenance of the building. And once you have clear all the theory and how to work in the practice in all the dimension of BIM, then you will be able to develop a strategy to implement BIM in your company. Okay, you will be able to tell to your company if they should invest in technology or in people, and you are going to be able as well to do the training plans for your team. Okay, and this is our faculty board. Okay, the academic director are Stefan Mordiu and David Philp. They work in ICOM. Then we have Sean O'Keefe. He's the industry advisor at the Building Smart International. Then we have Carol Ivansiski and Jorge Benitez, who work with Graphisoft. Marcia Bolpagni, who is building engineer, PhD, and senior BIM advisor at Masse. Okay, and then we have different kind of profiles. We have Mirbeck, who is an engineering focus on energy efficiency, and different kind of profiles. And they are going to enrich and to mentor your experience here at Zigurat. Okay. A few words about I would like to share, before I finish my presentation, I would like to share with you a few words about the academic director. Let me share a video with you. Please let me know if you can hear. Wait a moment. I'll put in full screen.
I'm Stefan Mordew.
Can you hear the presentation? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
okay, let's go.
I'm an architect, construction project manager, author, and information management specialist. It's important to remember that BIM is not just about technology. It's about people and process and information, but it's all empowered by technology. I'm really lucky to work with some world-renowned professors that are expertise in their field, but also I get the opportunity to work with new talent and students that are coming into the industry. And so I get the opportunity also to learn from them, so it becomes a two-way process. So hard work and determination I guarantee you'll be able to do anything that you want to. So a question to you is, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Where is your ambition going to take you?
So very good. I invite you to go to see the other interviews. Okay, let me go to the presentation. There is 2 interesting interviews. Okay.
The video didn't show. Only the audio was on. The video didn't show.
The video didn't show. Oh.
No, only the audio.
No, audio only we heard.
Okay, okay. I hope. Okay. Yeah, let's go because the time is short. So regarding my department, the Zigurat Corporate Services Department, and we are partnering with companies. So we offer 3 main capabilities to help companies in their digital transformation journey. Okay, we offer capabilities in training, talent, and promotion. And if you see that your company is interested and open to collaborate, feel free to contact me, and I will be glad to have a meeting with you and explain a little bit more about what these corporate services are. Okay. So my question is, where is your ambition going to take you? So I invite you to stay in touch with us. And this is my email and my phone number. If you are interested in the master programs, we are reserving the last seats for all the people that enroll through CDSS. Okay, we invite you to scan this QR code so you can request more information about the master programs. It's important that there is an important investment that you have to do it if you want to study with us. The official price of the master program is 14,500 euros. Okay, but if we can organize a group of 20 people that is going to enroll, we can discuss and offer a discount up to 50%. Okay, this is very important. You should scan this QR code and enter in contact with us, and then we are going to address all the questions about it. Okay, so thank you very much. I will stop sharing my screen, and now is the time for the team from ACCL to talk about a successful case about paperless project.
Okay, ciao. Rodrigo, thank you very much for your presentation. I would just like to add a couple of things. One, there are 2 BIM management courses, one for building and one for civil infrastructure. So there are 2 that are being offered. And due to the beauty of this being an online course, it actually doesn't matter where you are. If you register through the QR code that was up, you'll be registering through CDSS, and the whole group will gain benefit of this discount that is being offered through this first. It's something that's why we did this in this format instead of just a one-on-one, so that everybody can collectively gain benefit from coming on board with this. Okay, I think at this point we will hand over to architect Ogundaru. Are you ready for us, sir?
Yes, please. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear us loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay. All right. My name is Ogundaru, ACCL, one of the partners there. I have in the room with me one of our senior architects, architect Belinda. So we're going to be running this presentation together. You want to share the screen? Okay. Okay. So just a brief introduction about ACCL, Adeni Coca Consultants Limited. We've been around for about 30+ years. We've got about 4 partners now. We've had the opportunity to work on different projects across Nigeria. We practice out of Lagos. That's where we have the head office. And then we have different projects across Nigeria. We've had opportunities of some commission outside of the country too. Over the years, ACCL has prided itself with trying to make sure that we're in the frontiers of all the different aspects of practice. pushing design, pushing detailing, pushing quality of work. And along with this, technology had come in for the last couple of years, in which the management has also focused on how we can use technology to improve the quality of work in which we deliver. Now, about 3-4 years ago, management took a strategic decision to begin to look at the next level in which we would take the implementation of technology to help our processes. And I recall the directors actually went on a course where we started looking at to have some preliminary knowledge as to BIM, because if you're going to be making policies that would direct the firm in the direction in which it should go, then you've got to understand, what it's all about. So the directors did take some time to be educated as to what this is all about. Now, so coming in, fast forwarding to 2019, so we were on a project at that time. Of course, there were different projects around the office, and then the pandemic hits. Do you want to go to the next slide? So then the pandemic hits, and of course, by this time, we now had to accelerate some of the thoughts and strategies in which we had and implement it, because the entire world was blindsided at that time. We were only left with the strategies and the technology in which we had to work with. The office was working remotely, and then we were working partly remotely, partly on site at this time. So we were going to use one of the projects. There were several projects going on in the office at that time. Some of them were in Lagos, some of them were outside Lagos at different phases in the at different stages in the project. So we had to implement as much as possible, carrying our allied professionals along and carrying the clients along, and even the contractors to a certain extent, had to implement strategies with, of course, BIM was at the forefront, because now we had to do our work remotely and online. So Belinda is going to take us through one of the projects, which we're going to use to describe the way we approach things and where we are in terms of BIM. And then when she's done, then we'll come back and wrap up on a few things, and then we can take the question and answer session. So, Belinda.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining this seminar. We are going to focus mainly on BIM for design. As we know, BIM has various aspects, and we decided to focus on BIM for design because of the challenges we had at that time. The pandemic, there was a lockdown, we had a project that was ongoing. The piling contractor had already been awarded, and we looked at a situation whereby once the lockdown was over, were we going to start documentation at that point in time, or were we going to make use of this time to be able to gain some extra hours and be able to meet up our deadlines? So with that, we started, first of all, what we did was to start with a BIM strategy. Next slide, no. What we started with was with a BIM strategy. Now, this is just an overview of the project. It's an office development located in Lagos, Nigeria, Victoria Island to be specific. We had a basement level and 9 suspended floors. The first thing we had to do was to look at our timelines. We had done the concept design in June 2019. There was a bit of delay from the client because he was trying to take some decisions. So the client took about 6 months, 5 to 6 months in going back and forth. And eventually we proceeded with developing the design in December 2019. At that time, when we had started the coordination, we were hit by the pandemic. By then, the piling contractor, as I mentioned earlier, was already on site. And for 2 months, we were on lockdown from March to May 2020. In that time, we were able to gain some time on the project by continuing our collaborative work using the BIM strategy. And with that, we were able to go to tender in 2020. We're also very mindful about contactless exchange of documentation, because with BIM, with the pandemic, we were worried about sharing physical documents, paper, and then spreading the virus. So we were very particular about doing this in a remote fashion. Now, for the planning phase, before we even started at all, we had a planning phase where we had to first of all define what beam dimensions we are going to adopt. Now, for beam in design, we adopted just the 2D and the 3D aspects of beam, which has to do with documentation and data, as well as the 3D model itself. We didn't go into the 4D, 5D, and 6D dimensions because that has to do with contracting and facility management. We also were able to define the primary and secondary beam uses. We were able to define this by knowing exactly what we wanted to use these beam models for. Now, we wanted to use it for cost estimation, site analysis, design reviews, design authoring, as well as 3D coordination. Now, for us, it was very important for us to define these beam uses so that we don't create models that have so much irrelevant information. And when you have models that have irrelevant information, it becomes unnecessarily heavy, unnecessarily tedious to manipulate around these models. So for us, the first point of call was to define what we wanted to use these beam models for. And these are the beam uses which we picked out and we focused on. Another thing we had to do was we had to come together and decide on a basic information delivery specification strategy. We had to agree on the file naming conventions. So this would help us to know exactly who these files were coming from, whether it was the architect or the structural engineer or the services consultant. We're also able to know when there were revisions on the files. And then we kept that naming convention constant. We also had, as the architects and also as the project managers, we were able to create a file which contained the project coordinates. And this file we shared with all other consultants. Now, this helped us greatly because when we do coordination, you want to make sure that when you bring in a model, they are all in the same position. Because there are some times when you have a consultant creating a model in a separate or new file, and then you take it into your architectural file, for instance, you find out that the structural model is far away from where the architectural model is. So in order to avoid these discrepancies, we had to create a coordinate file, which we shared with all the consultants, and that helped us greatly during coordination. We also had to, we had naming conventions for the floor layouts as well within the Revit model. We had to also be mindful of the proper use of the entities we were imputing into the model, which was very important as well. They have to be named properly and classified properly. And then we also adopted a classification system because we had a specification manual and we were using the Uniclass 2015 specification system. And that was the agreed classification system for all entities within the model. We also agreed on other things like the spaces that were going to be created, load-bearing and non-load-bearing elements. We were also mindful of internal and external features, like either walls or ceilings or floors. You have to define them properly. And each of the elements that had fire safety classifications were also identified, as well as materials that were used for each element within the model. Now, all this information is very important to clarify this at the beginning, to avoid any kind of mix-up on irrelevant information within the model. The next stage was we had to decide on what tools to use. Primarily for our authoring, we used the Autodesk Revit 2018 version. Then we also used the clash detection. For clash detection, we used Navisworks. For rendering, we used Enscape. For the specification, we use the MBS platform. And then for the tendering process itself, as I earlier mentioned, since we didn't want a physical tendering process where we had the contractors coming to the office and pick the documents, we used the box platform for file sharing. Now, along the way, when we had picked all these tools, we realized that some of the consultants didn't have the exact authoring tool which we had specified. And for us, that wasn't really a problem because what we did, we had to adopt the open bin system, whereby we advise the consultants to convert their files to an IFC schema, and then we use the IFC schema to coordinate. Now, I don't want to really go into the IFC because it's a whole new topic altogether, but we were able to cross the bridge of having to work with a consultant that is using a different authoring software. We're able to cross that bridge by using this method to be able to collaborate using the BIM Collab platform for raising BCFs and raising issues which we shared with the consultants. Now, on the next slide, I have a screen that shows the BIM Collab platform. It's an online platform, it's a web platform, cloud-based, and you can access it from wherever you are, either on your phone or your computer or your tabs. And when we create these issues, we're able to track them easily using this platform because the consultants are also part of it. So you know the issues that have been closed, you know the issues that are still open and yet to be resolved, you know the issues that are resolved. We also know where these issues are because it comes with images as well. So the consultants can easily navigate to where these issues are and get them resolved. Now for the plugins, like I mentioned, we use NBS for specification and BIM Collab to generate BCFs. Now these two platforms, they have plugins for Revit, which was very helpful to us. Because if you look at your right, you would see the BIM Collab platform, and then there are several issues that have been raised and highlighted. So you can easily track from your model to the BCF files and know where the issues are, and then it will be very clear without me being there or the other consultants being there. You can easily know, okay, I have issues at various points in the model, and you correct them, and then you send the revised file to the principal consultant. The same with NBS too. You can easily extract your specifications into your model with these plugins. So I'll just quickly go on to the BIM authoring process itself and the coordination. So when we had put all this in place, all these strategies in place, we now started on developing the model itself. And we started with the architectural model because obviously most times the consultants would request for the architectural model in order to work on their own model. And in this architectural model, we are looking at it, it looks like a 3D model with all the elements displayed. Within that 3D model, you would have the data, which is very important for the information. I mean, the I in BIM is the information, and that is the most important thing for us. Yes, the 3D model will give an idea of how the building looks like, but the data that goes into the model is equally as important. If you look at this slide, you would see things like the fire rating. This, for example, is the data of a single door, and it includes the fire rating, it includes the NBS classification code, it includes the sizes, the thicknesses of the door, and manufacturer, if you have one, you can put it in there. So all this data is all embedded in this model you are seeing. So you can easily extract the data that is required at the time it is required. And all this information was passed on to the other consultants. The services engineer created their services model with all this in mind, putting in all the necessary data as well. And then the structural engineer as well also created the structural model, putting on all the important information required. With this, we were able to now link, when we got it as the BIM manager, we were able to link these models together, and we created a federated model, which we ran through the Navisworks and the BIM Collab, particularly the Navisworks, which we use for clash detection. And with this process of clash detection, we're able to come up with reports that we shared with the consultants. For example, this has to do with structural slabs and MEP ducts. So you can create different kind of rules and run clash detections, and to tell you where you have errors in your model. And those errors you can easily document with this software, and they are all automated. It tells you exactly where the clash points are. It tells you the grid lines. It tells you if it's a hard or a soft clash. And then you can pass this report to the relevant consultants, and they can make corrections on their drawings, and then they send you the revised drawings. Now, we did this process over and over again until we got as minimal as possible clashes within each discipline. So when we had done that, when we had gotten the models resolved to a bearable minimum of clashes, we now commenced extracting the information that we required for the tender process. Now, this includes floor plans, detailed floor plans, and this is all extracted from the model you saw earlier. So we didn't really have to start all over again to draw this in 2D or to take it to a 2D software. All these were extracted from the model. You can see everything is parametric. You have the floor plans, you have all the specifications on the side. We're able to also extract sections, elevations from the model. We also extracted things like 2D and 3D details. Sometimes you need to do this so that the contractors can fully understand exactly what you expect them to achieve before pricing. We also extracted some interior elevations and details. We're also able to take into that Revit file some images that could help the contractors better understand where we were heading to. We also extracted schedules, various kinds of schedules. And why I'm showing all this is because we didn't have to redo this all over again. All that information and data that has been put into the model were automatically generating these information that was required. And when we had put all this together, we now save them as PDFs because we didn't want the contractors tampering with the documentation that we have. So everything was saved as PDF and imported into the Box platform. And then we went through the tendering process. There were some restrictions given to what the contractors can view, what they can download, what they can upload. So this helped us to restrict the amount of information that was sent out and then that was coming back to us. I think with that was the entire process, at least from the design to the tender stage. We are yet to go further into the BIM for construction, but I guess that will be the next level, that will be the next step. So I'll give it up to Architect Yinka to continue the presentation.
Thank you very much, Belinda. Okay, so I think, I mean, for us, we had, we believe that we're at the infancy of implementing BIM as a process, and one of the, and I just want to touch a bit on our projections and some of the challenges we see. So maybe this will come up in the Q&A session. No matter how much you invest in this, you've got to get the resource within your team, within your firm. However, we need the entire industry, meaning all our allied professionals, to also be operating at the same level so that this skill becomes industry based and normal. Even for the client, for example, if we were sure that the contractors in our environment had the capacity, to work with BIM, then we could have taken this beyond 2D, 3D. We might have gone up to 4D, 5D, and even get the clients go to 6D, whereby they are able to manage the buildings with all the information that has been provided. However, because we are the infancy, we're at that stage where, you know, we're beginning to just make it work with what is available. Another key challenge is the issue of the cost of all the softwares and the authoring software and rendering, because that is so, I mean, this is our own environment. We're dealing with devaluation, we're dealing with all those costs. So most of the softwares are now subscription. They are no longer perpetual. So it means you have a recurring cost. And in order to meet that recurring cost, you have to be operating at a certain level. So again, that is a challenge. But I believe that this is something that if we continue to push the frontier, we don't have a choice. This is the direction in which the entire industry globally is moving. And even we ourselves in this environment, we're going to have to move in that direction, convince the clients, convince the contractors, and get everybody on board. So at the end of the day, we're more efficient, we're able to deliver more complex projects, and then we can get the best out of the entire what BIM has to offer. So thank you very much. I think we'll leave it at that, and we're happy to take any questions at the end of it.
Architect Ogundaro, Architect Belinda, I have to thank you for an incredible presentation. I actually wasn't sure what exactly you were going to show us, but actually this is exactly what we were looking for, because as you've correctly said, the industry is going this way. It's no longer a choice. This is, if you want to be productive and active in this industry in the next 5 to 10 years, this is where you have to be. And I fully appreciate, because I remember when we first introduced Revit to ACCL, I think it was around 2006, 2007. I think we did a presentation for you. That was the first time we started to look. So you have been on this road now for 14 years. Just think about that. That's how long you've been on this road, and it's a progression.
Correct.
You're absolutely right. It's a progression, but we have no choice. The engineers, M&E, even going as far as civil, everybody has to come on board. So, and that is the purpose of this webinar, to bring this awareness to the industry as a whole. BIM has a place for all the disciplines. It's not, and it's not just Revit. I mean, works, there's stuff for the electrical, there's stuff for mechanical, there's stuff for the landscaping, etc., etc. So thank you so much, yourself and Belinda. I just would like Belinda to say one or two things, because I'm sure the question is going to come up. She is an alumni of this course. So I would just like her to give a little insight into her experience on the course, if you don't mind. Belinda, will you do that?
Yeah. Let me just give a little insights on the course. So I discovered the course by chance anyway. I was just going through the internet and I saw it, and I felt I was going to be interested in learning more about BIM. So I contacted the Zigurat Institute of Technology, and so far it was very interesting, very insightful. When I started the program, like Rodrigo had mentioned, we had the introduction into BIM itself, and I realized that I didn't know what BIM was. During that introduction, I now had to reset my idea of what BIM was, and I was able to move along with the program very smoothly. Everything was done online. We had collaborative teams. We were working in teams of 5 to 6, and each of us took a role. There was a time I was the architectural manager. There was a time I was the BIM coordinator. There was a time I was even the MEP engineer on the project. So I was able to use various softwares, ArchiCAD, Revit, Synchro Pro, Enscape, Twinmotion. We used a wide range of softwares which were actually provided by the institute. So you have subscription for the duration of the course. And the content of the program itself is very rich, very educative. And during the course of the process, you get to interact with individuals that are actually leading partners in the implementation of BIM. Most of our professors are practicing BIM in whatever capacities they are. A lot of them have won awards in BIM, and they were able to share the knowledge of what they have with us, and that was very insightful to us. You're muted.
Yeah.
I am indeed. Yes. Thank you so much, Belinda. It was very refreshing. I love your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank
Rodrigo,
you.
I think we can go to a Q&A now, or what do you say?
Yeah, of course. Let's go to the Q&A. We are a little bit short of time, but actually the presentation was really interesting. I was amazed of what Belinda and the team of ACCL presented, and amazing. And I just want to add something that I think that the success of Zigurat is actually reflected in our alumni, so amazing the skills and what you are doing to drive the digital transformation in the sector. So yeah, let's go to the Q&A.
Okay, please unmute yourself and ask a question.
In the chat, there is not question, so I don't know.
That's not a question. Is there any? Does anybody have any questions?
Your presentation was so good that mute everybody.
Okay, there is any other plugin recommendations, perhaps for keynoting? Rodrigo, will you take that?
And I think that
plugins?
This is more a technical question. I will let the ACCL and Belinda handle this question, address this question.
Yes, Belinda.
Okay. Well, as far as I know, keynoting I don't know any plugins for keynoting. Keynoting is actually a family within the Revit software itself. So you would have to create a family, a keynote family that suits your organization or suits whatever information you want to input into the data. And once you create that, I guess you can use it throughout whatever processes you want to. I hope that answers the question.
Great. It seems that they Ayobami say thank you, and Olowole and raise the hand. Please, Olowole.
Please go ahead. Unmute yourself and go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. This question is actually for ACCL. I noticed that you used MBS for the specifications. We were using NES for some time now, and it's been scrapped. And we've been trying to get involved with MBS, and it looks pretty expensive. How do you manage it?
Mr. Lowell, can you identify the company you're with?
Oh, I work with CA Consultants.
Okay, all right.
Yes. Okay, and Engineer Ali, good to have you here. I think those are fine, thank you. Those are one of the things I touched on earlier, that these costs are pretty prohibitive. But because we know we don't have a choice, we have to find a way around it. Earlier on, we just used to purchase the MBS subscription, I think put it on the server and give it to everybody and all that. But then with the way the cost was going, we had to change the strategy again and almost make it on a project by project basis. Because the problem is that because it's subscription, you could have a year's period and possibly you're not having any project that is at that stage. So we started looking at it, but we kind of try and maintain at least one in the office to make sure that everybody can get to use it. So it's more of a balancing act now to make sure that we're at least, if we are always able to have one of those licenses in the office. Hope that answers.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's the answer, but it doesn't solve my problem.
All right, Jalali. Okay, from Lekki Garden. Good afternoon. Is there any way that policies can be promulgated in the construction industry to promote the use of BIM by way of the professional bodies? From all indications, only architects so far are trying to implement BIM. Now, I think let me take a stab at that. Then I'll throw it off to Yinka. What I will say is, going through the professional bodies has never been an easy task. Not so much, I think it's not always the fault of the professional bodies. I think it's actually more to do with their membership following the leads put forward by the professional bodies. I don't know what you have to say to that, Dr. Ginka. Unmute yourself.
Okay, yes, please. All right, thank you for that question. I think, so let me give an example. I know now in the UK, there's a push to have your planning submission being done in the BIM environments and BIM processes, and all that is being done to encourage the architects and the industries to move in that direction. Now, I'm sure they are only able to pass that. That's, of course, by their own authorities, not necessarily the RIBA. Now, they are only doing that because they can see that a majority of the people who are practicing in the UK are already complying or engaging using BIM processes in their work. Now, if we're going to do that in this environment, it means we need to get to that point where quite a few of us, or at least those of us in the forefront of practice, are actively using this. Then a case can be made to the authorities for them to see value. Now, as Mr. Fisher has said, I mean, ACCL and himself and everybody else, I'm sure, it's taking some time for us to get to where we are today. And so if we're going to now push for legislation and policy, it's something we have to start. It might not happen in a year or two, but to get to the point in which we would also have no choice but for government to also put policies in place that will help to make this a standard for the industry. If we take a model from what the UK are doing, once you say, look, if you're going to submit for planning, it has to be done with the BIM process, then that's it. We will all not have a choice. Everybody will not have a choice. But until we get to that point where it's now a normal way of practicing in the industry, it's going to be difficult.
I hope that answers Lekki Gardens. Sorry, who is representing Lekki Gardens? If you can just identify yourself, please. Can you unmute yourself and identify yourself? Oh, Gloria Chigbufue. Okay, thank you very much, Gloria. Please, any more questions? Belinda, do you have a question to throw to the group? Do you have a question?
Well, not really. I don't have any questions.
Or a challenge to throw to the group. How about
I would,
challenge?
Maybe I would say we should invest in training. I think that is very important. We should invest in training so we all know the right processes to follow and the right kind of information we are giving out at the right time. I think that's all.
Yeah, I think the issue of training it's critical because, as Dr. Yinka says, if the industry, if the participants, that is you who are with us on this presentation, don't start taking those steps, there's nowhere, it's not pushing anyone else or government or wherever to also forcing them to move forward as well. So I think it has to come, I think, from the industry, because let's face it, if you are a consultant in Nigeria now and you want to work with consultants outside of Nigeria, you have to be BIM savvy. You cannot get away with not being BIM savvy any longer. And I think most of our consultants in Nigeria aspire to work outside of Nigeria because of the experience and the challenges and the knowledge that comes with such interactions. And especially in this time we are where COVID, where travel is a problem. You can't sort of decide next week that you're going for a site meeting in Accra because there's so many protocols. You have to quarantine for 10 days. So collaboration on BIM is really the way forward. Oh, this is a good one. Can ACCL quantify the ROI they have gained with the investment in the education?
Okay, can you hear me? What's that question, please? Can ACCL
quantify the ROI, return on investment, they have gained with the investment in the education? I actually think, before you answer, the presentation you have just done is the answer. Because without that investment, the presentation you've done and that project and others I'm sure that you've executed could not have been done without investing in that education. But please, Dr. Yinka, I hand to you.
Okay, I mean, to quantify the return on investment is pretty difficult if you wanted to talk in terms of real-term numbers. However, if you're going to stay cutting edge, then you have to do everything to make sure that you're cutting edge. And that goes across everything you do as a firm, as a practice, to the last thought. In terms of investments, yes, the firm has made investments in this regard, but I will let you know that architect Belinda actually paid for herself to go to Zigurat. ACCL did not pay for her. She took it upon herself to further that, to get that knowledge. Now, but because she works in an environment where such a thing is encouraged and all, you understand, it was easy for her to do. They had classes, she will structure her work around it, you understand. So we have, there's something we do in ACCL called continuous professional development, where besides just the BIM issues, we sit in the boardroom, I think we do once a month, and we go through issues, we go through different things, we're talking about, we're learning, we're continuously learning. And so the investment has to be continuous if you want your return to be continuous. You might not be able to quantify. For example, we've been on this journey for close to 14, 15 years.
Yes.
And each one, is moving us forward. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to quantify from 15 years ago, you might not be able to do it numerically, but then you can only see the impacts. Mm-hmm. You understand? And I think so what we need to get to is the culture of always moving things forward. If we get to that culture, then we will continue to see the returns in everything we do.
Okay, and I'll just add one more point. I would describe Belinda as there's a role that needs to exist within any consulting firm or construction firm that wants to go in that direction. And that role is called a BIM champion, someone who understands the concepts and believes in the strategies of BIM and just basically sits on the heads of everybody in the firm to make sure that this is the direction that the firm goes in and stays on. So Belinda, you are, I would like to say, I confirm you as the first BIM champion in Nigeria. the first certified, knowledge BIM champion in Nigeria. I think I have to give you that. Okay,
thank you.
You're welcome. And somebody has asked, how long does the initial setup of naming conventions, file project standards go? How long does that take? Now, you have already done this within your firm. You've done this over the years with the projects that you have executed. The question is now, how long does it take you to translate those standards and the projects that you've done into a format that is reusable? Because once it's in your BIM framework, it's there. You don't have to redo it, like in the presentation Belinda did. The documents produced at the end of all that input, there was no repetition. The floor plans, the building specification, the product specification, the finishes, everything was already in the model. So it wasn't like the old days where you do your first set of floor plans, the architect, the engineers have done theirs, and then when it comes time to submit drawings for tender, you're redoing this, you're making changes there. Everything has already been done. So how long is the initial stage? I would just say, how long is a piece of string? You have already done the work. The question is now to take the next step and bring all of that knowledge that you've already acquired. You're not going to be looking for anything new. You will use the standards you have already established within your organization. Okay, Inka, would you like to add something to that?
Maybe let Belinda, do you want to take that?
Okay, Belinda.
In terms of conventions generally and your standards, you can have a standard in your office. You have standards already in your office. I wouldn't suggest that you go back to old projects and start trying to rename them. I would suggest that going forward with new projects, you should have like a standard manual where you say, these are my office standards. These are the way we name files. These are the, although they are standard naming conventions. If you go by the ISO certification, the ISO 19650, that has to do mainly with BIM and information management. There are certain rules you take in naming conventions. But if you have a specific kind of naming convention that you use in your office, for example, you can start now to set those rules, and you make sure that your staff or your colleagues know that this is the naming convention we are using for all our projects. And you start now. I mean, you don't have to go back to your old projects. All these standards you can start implementing from today on your new projects, and then it follows through over the years. You will see that you have actually defined certain standards that you can carry on with all other projects. I think that's my take on it.
Just to add to that, at the sitting on top of all this is a buy-in from leadership.
Yes.
Sitting on top of all this is a buy-in from leadership and the support of leadership to make these things happen. Because if leadership doesn't buy into it wholeheartedly, not halfway, not doing it because it's something we have to tick a box, but wholeheartedly buying into it, then you will struggle. So leadership has to buy into all things. So that's where the naming conventions come in, and making sure it's office-wide and everybody's complying. And so when we're all looking at the drawings, we know exactly what to see. You know, we're all saying the same thing. There's a common language that goes across, and it comes from leadership to identify, enforce, and make sure that that is the way we do our work.
Great. Since that Mr. Peter not here, from my side, and I would like to thank you to share this webinar with so skilled professionals like you, Inka and Belinda, and it was a real pleasure. And
thank you, Rodriguez.
Yeah, Mr. Peter, we are a little bit ahead of time. Yeah, I don't know if there is another question. We are going to send all the recording for all the attendees, okay? And if you want to know a little bit more information about the master program, we already sent the landing page, so you can request information there, and you have my contact information as well. Okay, Peter, you're on mute. I don't know if
did you post that? Can you post that link?
Yeah, I posted in the chat, and we're going to send a thank you mail for all the attendees with the link as well.
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
No.
Engineer Adebajo, you have been quiet. Can I raise your voice to the floor?
Thank you, Peter, for searching me out. Yes, I want to first say it's been a very, very good presentation. I think it's, you know, when you, from time to time, you attend webinars and you see these sort of presentations, but then you say, yeah, they're in America or they're in Switzerland or wherever. And I think it's very, very positive for our industry to see that technology is a great leveler. It gives us the great opportunity to leapfrog. We know in terms of infrastructure, we've been behind, but we can use this to really jump and get back to where we should be. So I think from that point, it's great. I was also very happy to hear a listing of the challenges, because I think there are these challenges. I remember, and I think it still happens, some institutions, for instance, will give concessions to the developing world. And I think maybe we all need to push our weight behind getting software that's coming to us a little bit lower. But I do know that right now it's a global village. So the truth is, it might be more difficult than it used to be in the past to plead our problems. I think also the fact is that ACCL has demonstrated this. There are a few of us also who will show bits and pieces here and there, but the key is in full collaboration. So the more, just like I suppose the vaccine, where they say the more everybody is vaccinated, the more, I think in a similar vein, the more everybody is keen into it, the easier it is, the more we're going to be lifting ourselves up, the easier it will be to collaborate, and less likely to have one party, one member of the group lagging behind. So I think the challenge is out there, and thanks so much for organizing this webinar. Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome. Engineer Shudibara, CCP, a word from you? I'm looking at the names in here that have been quiet that I believe need to speak. Engineer Shudibara, would you since Dr. Babalaki is not here, I will put it to you to say a word or two. He's not taking me up. Okay. Dr. Simon Coker, ACCL, would you please unmute yourself and let's hear from you as well.
Good afternoon, Peter.
Yeah.
Everybody. Apologies for coming in late. I got waylaid this morning. So I caught the end of the webinar. I think I shan't keep you long, just to say that it's been a long journey. It's a journey you have to start. Belinda put it right. There's some things, don't look back, just look forward. The next project comes along, embark on it. You definitely have to invest. All the directors at ACCL are committed, and they've committed time and money. And I believe the ROI, because I had that mentioned, is that in this global village, as Kunle said, you will be approached by international engineers, architects. And the fact that ACCL has just been able to literally seamlessly engage with them, and from there you continue to grow, is the ROI. If you can't engage internationally, your chances of expanding, growing, developing are going to be very limited. So I think BIM is the future, and it's growing more and more. We've even got newer projects than the one that Yinka and Belinda presented, where it's all the consultants, including the client, are in the model, which is evolved online. There's no paper, there's absolutely nothing, on a continual basis. So it is the future. It's evolving very quickly, and I would just advise, recommend to all my colleagues in Nigeria, you need to get on the bandwagon. Otherwise, you'll find yourselves way, way, way off. That's it for now, but yes, it's worthwhile.
Thank you, Dr. Simon Coker. Engineer Murray Ekong, Morgan, Monitor, and Abe, would you have a word, please?
Yes, I've seen the presentation, which is quite impressive, and I thank Adeni Coker for showing this. We on our part have also been involved in some of these BIM practices. What I would like to state here is that, like Mr. Adebayo said, to raise up the standards of the practice of consultancy locally, we need to collaborate. And I think I will recommend that a group is set up consisting of consultants that are practicing together, so that they can synergize and try and create certain standards that people can now follow, so that it does not really matter who you work with or who you collaborate with. We already know where we are heading, so that we can all do similar things that are coherent at the same time.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Thank you, Engineer Akun. Who is sitting in as NCON International? I'm trying to, who is sitting in as NCON, please? We have no, okay, no response to that. Are there any more questions for this webinar before we sign off? Are there any more questions? Okay, if there are no more questions, I would just, my passing comment would be this. Sorry? Ah, yes. Ah, NCON, where the office is in. Okay. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yes. Who am I looking at?
Who am I looking at?
Good.
It was really wonderful time, a well thought of program, and we really enjoyed it. The truth is that there are lots of problems that are in the way of implementing this program. The use of this program. The truth is, this program, let's say we can use it, or we can use it, and then other parties who don't know how to use it. It means that we have to go back to what they use, what they use. I feel it's a better way to work, a faster way to work, and an easier way to work, because you save parties of paper. And many of us are working so hard to give those of us that most of people that know how to use all these and many other game-driven software. I actually going to check them out, check videos online, and then based on that, we need that to get this age right. And sometimes after this, like that, then you go back to the books and confirm what you have done in those software. They really a lot. And I think there's a need, but right now, the population to implement it, because for many people to be involved, you need to have the software and you need to be able to use it. No, it's not. There's I don't know how to use it. There's nothing you can do about it. And if only you have it, and other people that you're going to work with don't have it, then take this.
Okay.
I think that would be one of the merits of
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Engineer Oyemade from EMS UFA, would you like to have a word? Please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. The program is actually a well thought of one, and the presentation. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
The program was it's actually a good one, and the presentation by ACCL was a very nice one. We've also at the office, we are at the initial state, and we are also integrating into BIM, and as you said, Belinda is actually a champion, and she's actually driven us in getting into the software very well. We've been part of a lot of projects with them, and we are still growing, and the only thing I would just say is we all need to learn more, because this is the future, and that is where we will be in another 5 years if we really want to be in the industry. So as Architect Yinka said, investment, the return in investments might not be numerical, but is actually, you will see it over the years in how much you are able to interact with other partners internationally and getting things done. So that's it. It's a well thought of program, and I'll just ask that we do this more often. As Engineer Morris said, if we can have like a common ground where we all think to know where to know how things are done, so we can all be on the same platform. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Engineer Atumon Yogo, I believe the current president of NISTRUCT. Can we have a word from you, sir?
Very much, Engineer Fisher. I'm actually the immediate past president.
Oh, immediate past. I wasn't sure.
Yes. It's been a very nice presentation, and I'm quite impressed. And this is a journey every consultant has to embark on. They don't want to become dinosaurs in the industry. The challenges are enormous, mostly in terms of cost. But if you've been paying attention to the Minister of Technology, is it Minister for Technology, and he's been talking about, they came up with a digital policy for Nigeria in 2020, and they were talking about encouraging knowledge and promoting knowledge in digital technology, and I think we as industry players need to engage them, to actually invest in training of consultants in the AEC industry, or else Nigeria will be left behind. We can make a case. Government subsidies all sectors of the economy. Why not the AEC industry?
Yes.
So that's a case we have to make as a group, in order to be able to leapfrog into what the rest of the world is doing.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Engineer Ali of CACONS, can we have a word from you as well?
Saying something again will be like repeating what everybody has said. I would just like to thank ACCL for the presentation. Like I said earlier on, the main issue is it's got to do with the cost of this, which we don't have a choice. We have to find a way around it. And like Kunle Adiba just mentioned earlier on, the issues about talking about Africa and its development and all that, maybe it might help us to reduce the cost of this software. Well, thank you once again for everything that you've done. It's quite interesting. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just one or two more points. The course actually itself, Rodrigo, it has 2 entry dates. Exactly. The first is in November and is in May. So please just keep that in mind, that there are 2 entry windows, and in May. And please note also, we've all mentioned about the cost of the software, but for the duration of the course, all necessary and required software is included in the cost that is paid for all participants on the course. And I would stress that each company that's represented here, doesn't matter where you are, consider having one person within your organization participate in this course. That's the first step, I think, to taking that stride towards a BIM featured enterprise, is having somebody within who is your BIM champion. I think ACCL would not be at the stage where they are if they had not had a BIM champion in-house, and management and leadership coming on board 100%. And so ensuring that the drive forward was seamless and continuous. So, Rodrigo, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just a special thanks to you, Peter, to organizing all these webinar. and to the ACCL team. And it was a real pleasure. And anything that you want to request more information about it, we are at your service.
Okay. Architect Ogundaros, Architect Belinda, I know you are both very, very busy people. And I know we had to shift the date about 4 or 5 times, so I know what it means for you to
apologize for that.
No apology necessary. Oh, Simon, you are in VI. I thought you were in I thought you were, you know, VI for you could be anywhere. So thanks for taking the time and to giving such a brilliant presentation from ACCL. I think you have done not just yourselves. I think you've done the AEC industry in Nigeria. You've done us all proud today. Thank you very much. Very impressive. Okay, Rodrigo, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for attending and giving us your time. I see we had 37 participants from, and you stayed all the way through. So please, the information is there for you to contact Rodrigo or ourselves. And if you have any additional questions or whatever, the points that was made about by Engineer Ekong or somebody about a collaborative body to help push this concept forward, I think it's not a bad one. I think it's a good one. Engineer Eddie, I think your information about the minister and the ideas that they're bringing to fore, I think is also of great interest. So we have a lot to do, but this was supposed to be just a first step for everyone. ACCL took their first step 15 years ago. So I think everyone needs to take their cue from that. I don't think from the look of their office, I don't think they're regretting it. Thank you so much, everybody. Rodrigo, I'll give you the last word.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
there's a recording. If there's anybody interested, there's a
Thank you.
recording of this, so we can also let you have the recording as well.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.